Robert, a self-made millionaire, believed he was invincible. He had it all: a thriving business, a beautiful home, and a loving wife, Amelia, who was now carrying their first child. But Robert had a secret he thought he could keep forever. Her name was Isabella, a captivating woman who represented everything Amelia was not: wild, spontaneous, and unattached. He had convinced himself he could have both worlds: a stable life with Amelia and thrilling escapes with Isabella. His arrogance was his greatest blind spot. He believed his money and influence created a bubble where the normal rules of consequence didn't apply. He'd become so adept at compartmentalizing his life that the guilt had long since faded, replaced by a sense of entitlement. He deserved this, he told himself. He worked hard enough for it. One sunny Tuesday afternoon, Robert was returning from what he told Amelia was a critical business merger in Paris. In reality, it was a week-long romantic getaway with Isabella. As they walked through the bustling international arrivals terminal at the airport, he held Isabella's hand, whispering something in her ear that made her laugh, a sound that echoed through the hall. He was on top of the world, feeling the familiar rush of power and control. He was untouchable. He scanned the crowd, not with worry, but with the casual indifference of a man who owned every room he entered. He was already mentally rehearsing the loving reunion with his pregnant wife, the lies about how much he missed her, the expensive Parisian gift he'd bought to mask his deceit. And then, time stopped. The laughter died in his throat. The world, once spinning perfectly on his axis, came to a screeching, violent halt. There, standing directly in his path, not 10 feet away, was Amelia. Her hand was resting protectively on her swollen belly, a silent testament to the life they were supposed to be building together. She wasn't crying. She wasn't screaming. The look in her eyes was something far worse, a calm, devastating clarity. It was the look of a woman whose world had been shattered, yet she was still standing amidst the wreckage. In that single, soul-crushing moment, Robert's two worlds didn't just collide, they annihilated each other. The crowd of travelers, the announcements over the loudspeaker, Isabella's confused grasp on his arm, it all faded into a deafening silence. There was only Amelia, her pregnant silhouette a monument to his betrayal. The air crackled with unspoken words. Isabella, finally sensing the gravity of the situation, let go of Robert's hand. Her own face paled as she looked from Robert A.'s frozen expression to the pregnant woman staring them down. "Robert, who is that?" she whispered, but her voice was drowned out by the thunderous beating in Robert's chest. He couldn't speak. He couldn't move. Every lie he had ever told, every secret he had ever kept, was now laid bare under the harsh fluorescent lights of the airport terminal for the whole world to see. His meticulously constructed empire of deceit had crumbled to dust in an instant. The shame was a physical force, pressing down on him, stealing the air from his lungs. He saw the flicker of pain in Amelia's eyes morph into something else, something steely and resolute. She hadn't come here to cause a scene. She had come for answers, for closure. Amelia took a slow, deliberate step forward. She didn't even glance at Isabella. Her focus was entirely on Robert, her gaze pinning him in place. "The business merger went well, I hope," she said, her voice steady, but laced with an icy sorrow that cut him deeper than any shout could have. Each word was a perfectly aimed dart, puncturing his pride, his arrogance, his self-delusion. Robert finally found his voice, but it was a weak, pathetic rasp. "Amelia, what are you doing here?" It was a stupid question, and he knew it. Her presence was the answer. She knew. How did she know? The question hammered in his brain, a frantic, desperate search for an explanation that could somehow mitigate the disaster unfolding before him. Had someone told her? Did she find something? The details suddenly seemed irrelevant. The only thing that mattered was the unerasable image of his pregnant wife witnessing his ultimate betrayal. "I came to pick up my husband," Amelia replied, her voice unwavering. "But it seems he's already in good hands." She finally allowed her eyes to drift over to Isabella. A quick, dismissive scan that was more insulting than any direct confrontation. Isabella recoiled slightly, looking like a child caught with her hand in the cookie jar. In that moment, stripped of the glamour of their secret rendezvous, she just looked small and out of place. Amelia then turned her attention back to Robert. "I received a package this morning, Robert. An anonymous one. It contained your flight details, hotel reservations, and photos, very intimate photos." She paused, letting the information sink in. So that was it. No clever detective work, just a simple, anonymous act that had detonated his entire life. Who would do that? A rival? A disgruntled employee? It didn't matter. The damage was done. Robert felt a wave of nausea. He wanted to explain, to beg, to rewind time, but he knew it was useless. The evidence was irrefutable, and the look on Amelia's face told him there was no path back. "Amelia, please," he stammered, taking a step toward her. "Let's go home. We can talk about this." Amelia held up a hand, stopping him in his tracks. "There is no we anymore, Robert, and that is not our home, not anymore. I've already had the locks changed." The finality in her voice was absolute. This wasn't a negotiation. It was a verdict. She had not come to the airport for a confrontation. She had come to deliver a message to sever the final tie, face to face, to make him see the consequences of his actions in the most public and humiliating way possible. She wanted him to feel a fraction of the pain she was feeling. Then, Amelia did something Robert never expected. A small, sad smile touched her lips. "You know, for a man who thinks he's so smart, you're incredibly predictable, Robert." She reached into her purse and pulled out a single key, letting it drop to the polished floor between them. It landed with a soft clink, a sound that seemed to echo the breaking of their vows. "That's for the apartment you rented for her," Amelia said, nodding slightly towards a stunned Isabella. "The anonymous package was very thorough. I figured you'd need a place to stay tonight." With that, she turned around, her posture impossibly straight, and walked away without a single look back. She didn't run. She didn't falter. She walked with the quiet dignity of a queen, leaving a battlefield she had already won. Robert stood there, frozen, watching his entire world walk away from him. Robert was left standing in the middle of the airport, a spectacle of shame. Isabella, realizing she was just a pawn in a much larger game, looked at Robert with a mixture of pity and disgust. "You told me you were separated," she said quietly, her voice trembling. "You lied to me too." She didn't wait for a response. She picked up her bag and walked off in the opposite direction, leaving Robert utterly and completely alone. The buzzing crowd of travelers swirled around him, oblivious to the man whose life had just imploded. He slowly bent down and picked up the key, its cold metal a stark contrast to the burning shame coursing through his veins. He had lost everything: his wife, his unborn child, his home, his dignity. He had thought his wealth made him untouchable, but in the end, it couldn't protect him from the consequences of his own character. But the story doesn't end there. As Amelia left the airport, she got into a car waiting for her at the curb. The driver, a handsome, well-dressed man, turned to her with a concerned look. "Are you all right?" he asked, his voice full of warmth. Amelia took a deep breath and nodded. "I'm better than all right, James. I'm free." The man, James, was Robert's former business partner, the one Robert had cheated and pushed out of the company years ago to take all the credit for himself. It was James who had sent the anonymous package. He had watched Robert's betrayals for years, not just in business, but in his personal life. He had reached out to Amelia not for revenge, but because he believed she deserved the truth. For the past few months, he had been her quiet support, helping her prepare for this day and plan her new, independent future. Amelia wasn't just a victim. She was a survivor who had taken control of her own destiny, leaving the wreckage of her old life behind to build a new one on her own terms with the support of someone who truly valued her. Robert thought he was the player, but he was just a piece in a game he didn't even know he was playing. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button if you enjoyed this story. We'll see you in the next video.